Hello, English learners. Welcome back to our English lessons presented by Miss Lichuti, and we are now focusing on English home language, and we are starting with a question 5 on how to identify and analyze errors, and not only analyze but most importantly to correct and edit the text. Now, with that said, the first upload focused on explaining the editing terminologies. Please make sure that you view that lesson prior this one. Before we can go to the question for revision purposes on how to successfully respond to question 5, I would also advise that you revise language levels such as active and passive voice, direct and indirect. Check the link on my check the playlist rather on my YouTube channel. There are lessons that unpack thoroughly report and reported speech, active and passive voice, including parts of speech as well. Right, and then with that said, in our first upload, I focused on error and how to analyze errors, and then we spoke about concord errors. But there's something that I did not really emphasize. I think we only covered the subject-verb agreement, forgetting that we can also have what you call a pronoun error. And the pronoun error, normally in English we call that pronoun antecedent agreement. A agreement error. Remember, with concord, it's a subject-verb agreement. In essence, for any English sentence to convey meaning or to make sense, words must be in agreement. So when you are asked to correct concord error, it's not all about focusing on subject-verb agreement. In other instances, you can have what you call pronoun antecedent agreement error. What does that mean? Let's look into the following example. We can have a sentence that says, right, the sentence reads as follows: the company announced their new policy. Now, the subject that is performing the action here, we have the company announced, and then the incorrect use of a pronoun here, it's incorrect. So it means that there is no pronoun antecedent agreement. So the correct way is supposed to be it. So at times, concord may be correction of the appropriate, if not the use of the appropriate pronoun. And example again, we can say each should bring their book. Right. Now, when you use the word each refers to one, and their refers to many. So it means the pronoun their, again, it's incorrect because in relation to the subject it says each student. So it means the correct pronoun is supposed to be each student should bring his or her book, because we are talking about one student, meaning each. So the concord error for pronouns, that should be corrected to his or her instead of having their. And then again, another twist to concord error can be number agreement. For an example, you can say one of the books are missing. So you say one of the books, right? The books is a plural, but you said what? One. So it cannot be one of the books are. By virtue of having one, again, in terms of number, is supposed to be one of the books is missing. So you also need to be mindful of that when you correct concord errors. Right now, we are going to look into the 2023 November final paper. and now apply all that we have went through together and see how best you can try by all means to collect marks. Normally we say question 5 is the tricky part of the paper, but in my view, if you have studied and revised all the language levels and components accordingly, and you know all the error editing terminologies, you should be able to also collect marks in this section of the paper. Right, now with that said, now let's dive into it. Question 5 is a section of the paper that requires studying. You must know grammar, common error terminology in order to give yourself the best chance of success in this question. If you have time, read the article and note anything that looks odd. There are deliberate errors. Bear in mind that the text that you are about to read contains deliberate errors in this article. If you don't have time, go straight to the question and allow them to guide you, to guide your reading of the article. Right, grade 12. Here is our text. Says how Africa is giving fast food a new spin. So the title says how Africa is giving fast food a new spin. Quickly, when Ebele Enunwa stopped for a bite to eat at his local fast food restaurant, the queue for people snacked all the way to the car park. The young investment banker decided to start his own fast food eatery. In 2024, he opened Kilimanjaro, a chain of fast food restaurants, which today has 20 outlets across Nigeria. The company is one of a growing number of fast food restaurants to sprout Africa recently. Kenya and Nigeria offers the desirable ingredients of an expanding middle class as a strong private sector backbone, says Elias Souls, managing partner at Africa Group. Some international chains have tailored their products to local taste. Popular local ingredients have been added. In Nigeria, Domino's sells pizza topped with jollof rice, a West Africa staple. And then KFC in Kenya offers a product based on ugali, which is a popular maize-based porridge. Apart from their profound knowledge of local, homegrown taste, their chains also adapt at managing a business in challenging circumstances, such as when electricity is in short supply. The other main obstacle include challenging and underdeveloped supply chains, weak logistics, network-sensitive local partnerships, and unhelpful regulatory environment, said Schools. He added that ultimately it was a gamble on their future. At times, through reading already, you can pick up errors, especially the concord errors, because when you pronounce the sentence out, if words are not in agreement, you can just pick it up that there is a concord error. Now, grade 12, what is important is to practice what you call question interpretation. And then if you are guided by the examiner to refer to a particular question, don't become too smart and forfeit marks unnecessarily by answering what is not required. It says that you must refer to the title. Replace the word spin with a formal English word. Now, this is a vocabulary question that also checks your understanding of a register. Only offer words that would be acceptable in formal English. Avoid slang in your answer. The instruction is to give a formal English word. So this is a vocabulary type of what? Type of a question. Now, if I don't want to say the word spin, again quickly let us revisit the title. How Africa is giving fast food a new spin. Now, spin is a bit of an informal or colloquial term. Now, we need to come up with a formal wording to it. Now, instead of saying giving it a new spin, we can say giving it a new look, a new appeal, a new flavor, or a new outlook. Any of these synonyms are acceptable. Remember, synonyms are words that mean the same, but they are written differently. And then 5.2, in line 2, always go back to the particular line that is being examined. Provide the homophone for Q. Grade 12, please, home language learners, revise homonyms, antonyms, synonyms, and homophones and homonyms. There is a video on language sections for all of those. Please go through my playlist for language and then revise them. Now, homophones, these are words that the sound is the same, but meaning is different, right? Meaning that the pronunciation is the same. So we've got the word Q here. Know your terminology. What is a homophone? A homophone, words that are pronounced the same, but they are spelled differently, and of course the meaning is also different. So another alternative, a homophone for this Q, it is this Q. And this Q typically refers to a line, whereas this Q refers to a signal, which can be used as a verb to say the actor waited for his cue, which is a sign or a signal. So this one refers to a line. So you needed to come up with another cue that is pronounced the same but spelled out differently. So you should expect questions around homophones, homonyms, and antonyms, as well as synonyms. Right, and then we move along. Now, this question, spelling has to be correct. Please remember this is the language section, right? Now replace the commas in lines 3 and 4 with a suitable alternative punctuation. It does not say punctuation mark, it says punctuation marks, which is plural. Right? Now let us go back to lines 3 and 4. These are the paragraph numbers, and then these are the line numbers. The company is one of a growing number of fast food restaurants to sprout across Africa recently. Right, and if you don't want to use that parenthesis, you can replace that with dashes or brackets, and then when you answer to say what is that, can be a punctuation can be replaced with, like I've said, because it says punctuation mark, don't say a dash, don't say a bracket, say dashes, brackets, because here it's in a plural form. So whatever that you are going to replace, the punctuation mark that you suggest should be replaced here should also be in a plural form. Please be mindful of that. Correct the concord error in paragraph 2. What is concord? We already dealt with that. We explained the subject-verb agreement. Sometimes it has to deal with pronoun error. Pronoun error. Sometimes it has to deal with consistency and number error. So please be mindful of the explanations of concord error prior attempting this question. Refresh your memory to say, what is that I need to look into when I correct concord? In essence, concord, it means subject-verb agreement. That if the sentence cannot convey meaning in terms of where the subject disagrees with the verb, you can hear when you pronounce the word, the sentence out, that meaning is somehow distorted. Then you can easily pick it up that it's a concord error. Now, 5.4. We go to paragraph 2 so that we can establish exactly where the error is. Kenya and Nigeria offers the desirable ingredients of an expanding middle class and a strong private sector backbone, says Elizabeth School's managing partner at Africa Group. Now we need to establish subject-verb agreement. We say Kenya and Nigeria. So we have two countries. It means that our subject, remember subject, it's anyone or anything that performs the action in the sentence. There are two, so it means that our subject is in a plural form. Now this is what I want to teach you. I will say Lerato sings well, right? Lerato, singular, the verb will always have what? An S. But I can say the boys sing well. When now it's in a plural form, I omit S to say the boys sing well. But in a singular form, the verb will do what? Will carry S. Now we have Kenya and Nigeria, which is in a plural form. Therefore, our verb, it says what? Offers. So Kenya and Nigeria offers there. You see, you can even hear that when I pronounce the sentence out that something doesn't sound right. Kenya and Nigeria offers. Unless we say Kenya offers, then it makes sense, because it means that the subject, there's a subject verb agreement, because the subject then could be in a singular form, therefore the verb will carry S. But now if you say Kenya and Nigeria, we need to omit this so that we remain with offer, simply because the subject is in a plural form. So the corrected answer for 5.4 is that we are going to correct offers to become what? Offer. That is the concord error that we have. Right. And now we move. Right. Some international chains have tailored their products to local taste. In line 10. Rewrite the above sentence in a passive voice. Right. Grade 12s, I'm just quickly going to give you a quick revision here. And I'm going to use basic English. Thabo kicks the ball. This sentence is in an active voice. Right? Because we have Thabo as our subject who performs the action, and then supposed to be kicks, you see, the verb must carry S because Thabo is in a singular form. Kicks becomes our verb. What is he kicking? He is kicking what? The ball. So whatever that is affected by the action of the verb becomes our object. Then this is our object. And now this sentence is in an active voice because we have the subject of the sentence performing the action. Now to take this sentence from an active to a passive, you must now take the object of the sentence to become the subject of the sentence, and then it performs the action. But what you also need to be mindful of is tense, because when you change active to passive, tense plays a significant role. If you are changing a present tense like this one, Thabo kicks the ball, we are going to say the ball. Remember, in a passive we begin with what? With the object. Object is what is being acted upon. The ball is, now we use the word is to show that we are changing a present tense. The ball is kicked, and then the verb in a passive voice will always go to a past tense. The ball is kicked by Thabo. Right? Let's say for argument's sake, we said now Thabo kicked the ball. So if you say kicked, it's in a past tense. Again, we are going to begin with the ball as our object to say the ball. Now, instead of saying is, we'll say the ball was, because we are changing what? A past tense. Was kicked by Thabo. Now, what if we have a present perfect tense? Remember, for us in English, in tenses, for them for a sentence to be in a present perfect tense, that is where it uses have or has. So, if I say Thabo has kicked the ball, we'll say the ball has, in instances where we have has and has, have and has, for a past tense, for a passive voice, we are going to add the word plus been. Please go through my active and passive lesson because I've unpacked this thoroughly. I'm just giving you a quick revision. So therefore it means that in a passive voice it will be the ball has been kicked by Thabo. We add plus been in a passive voice. Now some international chains let me use a different color. Right. Some international chains subject have tailored verb. Now you pause where the verb is. What is that? They have tailored. They have tailored their products. So their products becomes what? The object. So it means for you to change There's to a passive voice. You are going to begin with what? With the object. Now let us look into the notes that I have included here. The passive voice requires you to move the object of the sentence to the position of the subject, change the verb by adding plus to be in its correct form, and add the subject using by if necessary. Start by underlining the object of the original sentence, circle the verb, put a rectangle around the original subject. Now shift those parts according to the 3 steps already mentioned. Like I've said, you have your subject, you have your verb, and then you have your object. Now, once you have located your object, you know that in a passive voice, you are going to begin with your object. You are not going to be excited to just change. Also, it's important to determine what? Tense, so that you effect the correct changes pertaining to tense. And then some international have tailored. This is a what? Perfect tense. So now let us look into the corrected one. We begin with what? We begin with the object. The product, remember I said with have and has, what are we going to add? We add the word been. The products have been tailored to local taste by some international chains. And this is how you change your sentence from active to passive. Now provide an antonym for the word profound in the context of line 13. Context is important. You must know your terminology. What is an antonym? Words. Remember, synonym are words that mean the same but they are written differently. Antonym are words that mean the opposite of one another. This is a vocabulary question. However, you must know what an antonym is to ensure you are providing an accurate word. The word must make sense in the context of the line. So it's line 13. Let's go back to line 13 quickly. Context is important because we can have many other antonyms that are not appropriate for the context. Line 13. This is line 10. 11, 12. Okay, the word profound. Seems like I'm struggling to see where the word profound is. I'll locate the word quickly. Ingredients have been added in Nigeria. Domino pizza topped with jollof rice, a West African staple. KFC in Kenya offers product based on garlic, popular maize porridge. Apart from the here we are. Apart from their profound knowledge of local homegrown taste, their chains are also adept at managing a business in challenging circumstances. So apart from their profound knowledge, so we need an opposite of, remember this profound knowledge is an adjective here. The purpose of the word profound here, it's an adjective because it describes the kind of knowledge, right? This is a noun to say it's not just a knowledge but a profound knowledge. So if knowledge is not profound, therefore what can be the possible opposite of a profound knowledge? And then we move along. Words such as superficial, shallow, basic, minimal, limited. Instead of saying a profound knowledge, you can say limited knowledge or even insufficient knowledge. So all of these are acceptable antonyms, and indeed they are correct for the context of the sentence. So please don't just change a word in isolation without rooting it to the context. Now refer to paragraph 3, remove the redundancy. Redundancy, as we have said in our first lesson on editing terminologies, it's simply unnecessary duplication, unnecessary repetition. For an example, if you say that you are reversing backwards, I mean, if you are reversing, automatically you are going back. So there's no need for you to include what? Backwards. So when you have to remove redundancy, then you can take out backward or add, so that you remain with reversing to avoid redundancy or unnecessary repetition. Now 5.7.1 refer to paragraph 3. So we go again to paragraph 3. Some international chains have tailored their products to local. Popular ingredients have been added in Nigeria. Domino's sell pizza topped with jollof rice. A West African staple, KFC in Kenya, offers a product based on ugali, a popular maize. Apart from the profound knowledge of local, homegrown. So you can write a sentence to say, apart from their profound knowledge of, instead of saying, you can cancel local and then you remain with homegrown, because local means the same as homegrown. Or you can cancel homegrown, you remain with what? Local. What is important is that you must omit one that is repetitive, right? Hence I said here, either you take out local or homegrown, because they mean the same. Correct malapropism. Again, I said that the word malapropism is an incorrect use of a word that does not suit the context. And then again, it's related to also vocabulary. You must know your vocabulary. In paragraph 3, paragraph 3 seems to be the famous paragraph for this question. Right, now we are going to look into malapropism. Right, their chains are also, right, it says their chains are also adept of managing a business. Now, malapropism in this paragraph relates to the word, the use rather of the word adapt. Adapt is supposed to be adept in this way. And for vocabulary enrichment, adept is an adjective meaning skilled or proficient. So it's supposed to be this one, because it means someone who is skilled and proficient. Right, and then the word adapt, it's a verb that means to do what? To adjust. So this spoils the meaning of the sentence, but when you take adapt to that sentence, it correlates well with the idea presented there. So malapropism was to correct adapt to adept, which is it here. Right, and then he added that ultimately it was a gamble on the future. Line 18. Rewrite the above sentence in a direct speech. Home language candidates, it's important to know how to take report from report to reported, or from reported back to report. But there are many rules. There are many rules pertaining to changing sentences from direct to indirect. Again, go to the language playlist. There's a lesson specifically on direct and indirect, so that when you respond to this question, you have refreshed your memory on grammar rules relating to changes that you need to effect. Direct speech requires you to apply correct punctuation and add a speaker and a verb, like said, which is an introductory verb, or exclaimed. Identify who is speaking and what they have said. Remove any unnecessary words like that. The tense should be the tense should be changed one level into the future. So identify the finite verbs and adjust the tense accordingly. Now it says that he added that ultimately it was a gamble on the future. Rewrite the above into what? The direct. Right? Quick example. I am pleased to be here, he exclaimed. This is what we call the introductory verb. So if, let's say, it's an direct, you have to take it to indirect. You'll start with the introductory verb to say, he exclaimed. Then you add the word that. Then you replace the personal pronoun I, because you are reporting what that person has said. You are not that person. He. And then we pause. If the introductory verb is in a past tense, it means that you need to change what you are reporting to be also in a past tense. He exclaimed that he was pleased to be, and then here changes to become there, right? This is when you are taking it from direct to indirect. Now, the question says you must take it to direct. It means that punctuation must be in order. You must punctuate the sentence accordingly. Locate where the introductory verb is and remove the word that. He added that ultimately it was a gamble on the future. So the correct answer, it will be he added, comma, after the introductory verb, you add a comma, then you punctuate with quotation marks because we are taking it back to direct. Ultimately, it is, because remember, he added past tense. So when we take it to direct, we keep it as present. If we were to take it to indirect, that's when we could have said he was. But we are not reporting this time. We are taking it back to what? To direct. Simply means that you need to keep the words of the words of the speaker in a present tense. So it's going to be ultimately it is a gamble on the future. Then you close the quotation mark and then you put a full stop. This is how you take it back to direct. Right. Please don't forget to revise the rules once more for report and reported. And that was the last question to collect. To analyze errors. I hope the lesson is indeed fruitful to assist you. And this needs a lot of practice. I would advise that take more previous question paper, and prior doing that, revise all the language rules pertaining to active, passive, direct, and indirect, including also parts of speech as well. Thank you.